Hey everyone, this is Kieran. Today's exercise is looking at learning how to hip hinge. It's a common skill that people will lose after things like a back injury, a hip injury, or even some knee injuries. So it's the ability to move through your hips when you're bending down to the ground. So a really useful skill. If that sounds like something that you feel like you might need to relearn, then give this video a watch. If you like this content as well, please subscribe below. When we're thinking about something like a hip hinge, it's really nice to have some external cues to try and relearn what it is you're supposed to do. And the external cue just means there's something in your environment that makes you do the thing that you're trying to do. It's a little bit easier to learn new movements and skills when that's the context or the environment than trying to internalize and think about, am I feeling this here? Am I feeling this muscle? Or am I feeling that stretch? It's not as efficient or consistent of a way to learn motor skills. So what can we do in this scenario? I'm just going to give you a quick demo of what a hip hinge looks like. So say I was going to bend down towards the ground. What the hip hinge is me bending my hips mainly, right? So I'm doing that. Now I could add in a knee bend, right? A squat is me being more upright. Now I could hinge a bit in my squat. Versus a deadlift, for example, is a lot more of hip hinge and then my knees start to bend. This ability to hinge through the hips is something that a lot of people either have unlearned through, unfortunately, not great advice, the whole bend through your knees and don't use your back, that kind of stuff. That's not really great advice. It might be something that's useful if you're in pain and those movements are painful. Once the tissue heals though, you need to go back and relearn how to do this. Because what happens if you're in a load where, if you think about a deadlift, for example, and shifting a lot of weight, these muscles are quite big, they're quite powerful, and the ability to move weight from this position, we have a lot of advantage there. Versus just this position in just a squat, if the load's here versus up here in a squat, then it's not going to be as advantageous. So, good thing to learn. How do we bring these external cues? Well, we could use a weight. A weight is an external cue. This weight is going to make me have to shift in a certain way. Now you don't want a really heavy weight for this example. This is about 6 kilos, called a waiter's bow. So I'm a waiter, I've got something in my hand, I'm going to put it out that way and bow, right? If I push this weight forward like this, to counterbalance it, I'm going to have to stick my hips out. And if I really reach, and reach, my hips have to counteract, right? So I get a hip hinge. It's not that conducive for me to bend my knees because then the weight doesn't become lighter, right? If I can counterbalance the weight with the weight of my hips going back, I've created a hip hinge. So that's one option. Second option, let's change up the framing. So in this particular scenario, we're going to use, you could use a wall and use this pole. So you're going to see my head cuts out for a second and then it'll come back in. What I'm trying to do is reach my back pockets to the pole. So if I'm standing like this and I reach backwards, I'm trying to touch the pole as high as I can. I'm getting that hip hinge again. Back and forward. I could hold a weight here to add to that ability. So it creates more of a load and that load helps me fire up some muscles. I have to react to it. But basically doing this movement is a nice way to relearn. Now another option is to throw in a rubber band. So let me get that sorted for you guys as well. If I grab these sort of nice big power bands and I anchor it down here, you could do this on a squat rack, anything really where you've got an anchor. Holding it behind, so it's between my legs, and now I've got the tension on. The band loosening is going to pull me backwards. And then when I pull the band tight again, I have to hinge. If I bend my knees, it's not the same movement. I want to let the band pull me back and come forward like this. Right. So, few options for learning to hip hinge. Really important skill to regain after any of those injuries I was listing. If you found this stuff useful, definitely stick with it for at least 3 weeks, ideally 6. Put it in your warm-up. It doesn't have to be that intense. Use it as a coordination thing. If you're going to do some work and that work is normally aggravating for you post an injury, put this in as part of your warm-up as well. Hope you guys found this useful, and yeah, comment below. If you like this video, then please hit like below. Otherwise, to check out more of our content in the future, you can subscribe to our channel by clicking our logo over here. And to check out our latest video, click up here.